Hello, this is Fundamental of Programming course CO1027. In this session, we are going to do a quick review of the control flow. And the very first control flow that we have to mention here is the if control flow. Okay, it looks simple, but I guess you need to take a note on something. Okay, we are going to start by talking about relational and logical operators because, as you know, these are essential knowledge related to the control statement. So very often when we state some kind of condition, we need relational operators to compare things together, right? And most of you know what is relational operators, like equal operators or not equal operators. Those things are essential for every language. Therefore, every language will provide you a set of relational operators like this one. The appearance may be a little bit different, depends on how they define it, but mostly they will provide you this set. Okay, and here's an example of how to use and verify these relational operators. Basically, the code say bring out if A is greater than B or not. If A is smaller than B, then this one return you true. Okay, it defined by the value of this comparison between A and B. Okay, so when you do the comparison between two things, it's basically return for you either true or false. Alright, and that is why we are going to use an array of string here to store true and false. Okay, the starting index is 0 and the next index is 1, so the index of this one is 0, this is 1, stand for true and false. Okay, alright, so very often you are going to combine several logic value together, like if A and B and C or D. Okay, and if you have to use those kind of combinations between logic of values, then you need logical operators. Okay, and again, every language will provide you this basic set of logical operators: and, okay, or, and not. Okay, they are essential for every language. The appearance again maybe varies, depends on the language you are using, but mostly identical, I think. Alright, you see here another example where we are going to test if A equals C and B greater than D or not. Okay, if it is true, then you bring out true. Okay, I'm not going to explain about this one. This one is too trivial. Now, when we talk about conditional executions, the very important thing is the condition that you state in that statement. Okay, whether the condition is true or false, and that raises a lot of concern to all of us. For some language, they define true and false is true and false. You cannot convert from one kind of data to the others. But for some language like C or C++, the type conversion is very important, and it is appear everywhere. Therefore, the question here is, what is the concept of true and false in the language? Okay, and again, does your language support the Boolean type? For me, most of language will support it one. For C and C++, in the very old day, this concept does not exist, but nowadays it become a normal. Okay, so in C and C++, you will have a data type called bool, stand for booleans. It will store true and false. Okay, logical value. And well, we are going to discuss about how to convert between boolean and other type, and how will you assign some value to a boolean type, and how you will convert or assign a boolean type to the other type. Okay, let me jump directly into that explanation. So first thing you have to talk about boolean type is it store only two values, true and false, or false. Okay, because it's only store two values, you can use just one bit for it. However, the minimum size of storage in your computer is 1 byte. Therefore, at this level of programming, you cannot store boolean in a bit. Instead, this data type consumes you 1 byte. Keep that in mind. And true means 1, false means 0. This is the rules. Okay, it's applied when you transform and convert boolean value into some other thing like the integer. Okay, so when you try to convert an integer or some other value into boolean, what is the rule? Right, the rules is false is 0. Very simple. Okay, anything differ from 0 is true. The rule is that simple. If it is 0, it's false, otherwise true. Okay, this applies for everything in the language. And so you will see that we have here a set of statements. We have boolean type, we have integer type, and we have float. And there are several statements that you can find. I will try to do a quick evaluation for you. Here, A greater than C is false, therefore B equal to, false. Okay, B1 equal A is -1, therefore B1 equal to true. It's different from 0, right? B equals C, C is 0, so B equal to false. Okay, and X smaller than Y, yes, it's true. This one is true. And A is greater than C, no, so it's false. And when you evaluate the condition logic operator over there, you got false, so B1 is false. Okay, B equal to X. What is X? 0.5. 0.5 is obviously different from 0, therefore B equal to true. Simple, right? What about C? When you assign Y plus B1, well, B1 is a boolean, therefore it has to be cast into a floating point number like Y. So B1 is false, and that value convert into 0. 0 plus 1.2 turn out to be 1.2, and when you cast into integer, you have C equal to 1, and this one B1 is false. Okay, and last but not least, this one will be 0.5 is mean 5.4. This one means 2.4, and so you have B equal to false. Easy, right? Okay, so let me jump into the main sections here, where we have the if statement. Okay, for the if statement, it's very simple. It starts by the keyword if and followed by a condition, and if this condition is true, then the statement follow will be executed. Okay, and if you have more than one statement, then you may enclose them inside this bracket. Okay, so from now on, when I say a statement, I mean either single statement or block statement. This one we call a block statement. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm not going to discuss too much about this. Very simple. So the flowchart you have is very simple to understand too. Here you are going to evaluate the expression. If it is true, then you do the statement. Otherwise, you get out of the statement. So the if statement is here, only that block. Okay, the statement below is not belong to that if statement. Here's another example that I believe all of you can understand, so let me skip it. Now here we have a full form of the if statement. You have if, the condition that you evaluate. Okay, if this condition is true, then it do the following statement. Otherwise it will perform the if false statement here. Okay, that's straightforward. If my condition is true, do this, otherwise do that. And therefore you have the following flowchart. I'm going to evaluate the expression. If it is true, I'm going to do if true, and otherwise I'm going to do this. Okay, and the if statement will be this block. Okay, here's the another example. I'm not going to explain this, it's trivial, right? Let me comes up with the nested conditional. Why do we need to bring this up? I think that this is natural for you. Sometimes you combine several conditions together and you write a condition check after another condition check very often. So writing nested conditional statement is pretty normal. Here we go. We have the following if statement. Check the condition. If true, then you do the following, and then otherwise you do the following. So this one is one statement, this one is one statement. Then in this statement you check if condition. If true, then you do this statement, otherwise you do this statement. And again, check condition, do the statement, otherwise do the statement. So you see that another if statement can stay in another if statement. It's kinda easy, and your job is to understand what you want to write here and what condition will be evaluated when a statement is executed. Okay, so for example, let me just bring up this expression 1, this is expression 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and then I can say this statement will be executed if expression 1 is true and expression 2 is true and expression 3 is true. Okay, this expression will be executed when expression 1 is true and expression 2 is true, but expression 3 is false. Okay, and what about this one? This one say the statement will be executed if expression 1 is true and expression 2 is false. Okay, I don't care about expression 3. So in the end you can reconstruct the full conditions for every statement. Okay, this is easy, but you have to understand that how to reconstruct the statement and what does it mean, when will that statement be executed. Okay. Well, there is another conditional statement, nested conditional statement that we see more often, which is highlighted in the red color over there. This translates, well, the true form of that will be the statement below. If the expression 1 is true, I do this first statement. Otherwise, I'm going to check the expression 2. If it is true, I'm doing statement 2. And if it's false, I'm going to evaluate another expression. And if it is true, I do statement 3. Otherwise, if all three expressions fail, then I'm going to perform the statement 4. In short, this is nothing but single if statement, and inside that if statement there is another if statement, there is another if statement. Look at this, make me feel a little bit uncomfortable, and for most of programmers, they prefer to write this in a shorter form, I mean easier to read, which is the red form above. Okay, and it say, okay, if the condition here satisfies, I'm doing this. Otherwise, if condition here satisfies, I'm doing this. And look at this, you may see that there are several branch of your if statement will be executed depending on several conditions, and that is why we call this the multi-way if statement. Okay, so in the future, you don't have to write the full form of the if statement below. You don't need to. You can just use the short form above, because it is easier for you to read and understand the if statement. Okay. Here's another example that I believe you can get it easily. Here we go. We check if the score greater than A, then you set A to the grade. Otherwise, if the score from 6.5 to 8, then you set B. If the score from 5 to 6.5, then do C, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this one is actually one single statement. Okay, get it? Alright, sometimes writing the full if-else statement may be a little bit annoying when you only need the value. So the language provides you one special operator called conditional operators. And what it means, you evaluate some value based on a condition. So this conditional operator is well, it will take not 2 parameters but 3. Okay, and it starts by the conditions followed by these operators. Okay, this is the full operators. The first operand is expression, the second operand is if true expression, and the last operand is if false expression. And so it's equivalent to if else statement. It's exactly equivalent. Okay, so look at this. I'm going to assign x minus y if x greater than y to diff. Okay, think about it this way. I can write if x greater than y, then I assign x minus y to diff. Otherwise, I assign y minus x to diff, and they are identical, the left side and the right side. So my recommendation for you is that if your calculation, your expression here is simple, you should use the conditional operators here for shorter your code. But if the computation here, the expression here is too complicated, then you may prefer using if else just for easy to read your code. Okay, sometimes reduce the risk of calculations. Okay, I think that's one important thing that you can get from this example. Okay, and here is very simple example. Again, I try to get the max value, but instead of using the if else statement, I use the conditional operators. Okay.